Paul Skenes, he's reached 50 games now, and he has the second lowest career ERA through 50 games out of anybody ever who's pitched in Major League Baseball. And that is second placed only Vida Blue, who had a 2.01 ERA through 50 starts. Skenes has a 2.02. What a loser, right? Unbelievable. Okay, so look, there's a lot of things we can talk about with Paul Skenes. But I want to start with, we talked about the fact that the changeup is more prevalent for him this year. Last year, the splinter is what we called it last year. This year, because he basically split that pitch into a sinker and a changeup, right? That's what we're seeing
Right.
more so of
Right.
that. Or sorry, my bad, sinker and an actual splitter. And then he's still throwing his changeup. But that splitter has not been as effective for
I
him
knew what you
this
meant.
year. And so he's
Yeah.
been really relying on the changeup. That's a big move for a guy to go into his second year. And I think that's how he's avoided his quote unquote sophomore slump. He has changed the way that he had to, even though he was
That's exactly
already
right.
one of the best. The mentality, right? The knowledge to know that sometimes he is going to have to change. What do you think that means for like what Paul Skenes can do in the future?
I mean, do we know? I don't know. I don't know if anybody knows, to be honest with you, because I
That's a good
feel
point.
like, yeah, you're right. I mean, I feel like he's making pitches up as we go, and that's what makes him so good. And we've talked about this over and over and over. Every time you see him, I don't know. And there may be a couple starts that he kind of did the same thing from last previous start, but it seems like to me the times that I've watched him and the times I've covered him, which was quite a few that I've got a chance this year, is he's been kind of different in the type of pitcher he is when every time he goes out and pitches. He by meaning that he throws a different pitch more often than he would the previous outing, or he does something different, pitchability wise, during that start than he did the previous start. So to me, adding pitches and kind of not necessarily reinventing himself, but just adding more to his arsenal that guys can't hit already. But now he's adding more pitches to it to keep them on their toes and basically on their heels of not knowing what this guy's going to do. It just makes him even that much better. And we talk about how it takes experience in this game to be really good, right? It talks about this. We talk about all the time how older guys. That's why you want older guys around, is because they've been through the ropes, dude. This guy is like a 10-year vet already, and it is like it's just amazing. You know what I mean? The amount of innings that he has that are not even upper echelon type, for guys that have been around for a long time, but the way he throws, the way he goes about himself, the way he pitches, it's like he's been in this league for a long time and knows exactly what he's doing. And then on the flip side of that, maybe he don't. Maybe he's just coming up with new things that he's just trying to let's go to the bullpen and let's try a different grip, and the splinter comes involved. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is, it's just this guy's amazing to watch, and amazing to see how he constantly changes the way he throws to get better and better and better. And that's what's so cool about this whole thing.
So our producer Nick Belsky, who always does a wonderful job putting these shows together for us, thank you, Nick. He's smiling abashedly right now. Don't pretend that you don't like the shout outs.
It's great.
He put it together a list of some of Paul Skenes' greatest starts. And he basically asked us to say, what has been our favorite Skenes performance? I'm going to give
Yeah.
you listeners these games that he has listed for us, because it's easy to remember how many amazing games Paul Skenes has already
Yeah.
had in his 50 career starts. So obviously you got his debut against Chicago. That first inning was enthralling. I was at that game. It was absolutely incredible. But it didn't all end up going all that well, because the Pirates ended up losing that game after he left. There was a rain delay. It was a crazy game.
Right. Right.
But then he played against Chicago his very next start, the same team. And the quote in between those starts, when asked, how are you going to go about adjusting? And his response was, well, they're going to have to adjust to me, and good luck. And it was
Watch
such a
this.
confident, like kind of cocky, but like in a good way. Hey, this is my call out to the big leagues. I know that I am better than what I
Yep.
showed in that first game.
Yep.
Goes out against Chicago, 6 innings, 11 strikeouts, no hits. By the way, he's had two of those games where he's gone 6 innings, shutout, had 11 strikeouts and no hits in his career, which is insane. We can go with that. The start in Milwaukee, where he goes that other game, he goes 7 innings, no hits, 11 strikeouts. His first loss against St. Louis, where he went 8 1/3 and he gave up 2 runs in the ninth. That one hurts. The first complete game against Philadelphia, which also hurts because he got the loss in that game. And he
Yep.
said, I'm going to put an asterisk next to that one because it was only 8 innings. He didn't win it. He doesn't even want it. That shows you exactly who he is. And then, of course, the game against the Dodgers in LA this year on April 25th, where he went 6 1/3, struck out 9, didn't give up any runs, didn't walk anybody against what was, especially at the time, the best offense in baseball. Jordy, I'm going to give my opinion first here. To me, there's really no question, to be honest with you. That second career start against the Cubs, where he just came out, he struck out the first 7 guys he faced in that game. He struck out the first 7 guys he faced, and then he goes and gets 11 strikeouts through 6 hitless innings. It was just such a, I'm here. This is who I am. I'm Paul Skenes. Good luck. And he's just continued doing that every single start the rest of his career so far. Jordy, is that your pick too, or do you got something else for me?
I got something else. Okay, so
Yeah.
I was here when I did the Milwaukee game. And
Mm-hmm.
what people don't understand was you could feel, now they were on the road, I get it, but you could feel the tension on what was going to happen. Is he going to stay in? Is he not going to stay in? He's reaching that 100 pitch threshold or whatever it is, right? So to me, that was the start of, okay, we got to be careful with this guy because this guy is going to be our guy for a long time. And so that was when I realized, like, okay, is there a chance he could throw a no hitter? Of course there is. I mean, I think that's a question that every time he goes out, right? But on the other side of that is we have to be so careful with this guy. We don't want to make a mistake and end up hurting him, whatever it is. Okay. And to me, you could feel, I mean, you could just feel the tension through the TV, through the announcers, through Major League, the buzz on social media was going wild at that time too. I just kept was scrolling through going, I mean, everybody's now glued to the TV watching what's going to happen next. What are the Pirates going to do? What is he going to do? You know what? And I feel like that was the moment for me that I realized like we have an absolute superstar on our hands that people are glued to the TV every single night when he pitches. And that I don't know for I don't all these are great. And what you said was tremendous too because of the backstory and whatnot. But the feeling that I had when I watched that game and during that game was like, I mean, we weren't talking about it. We weren't doing much besides just watching and like everybody was like, what's gonna happen next? Okay. Where's the bullpen? Is anybody in the bullpen? You know, like, and it was so cool to be able to experience that.
Yeah, dude, I totally agree. It's amazing. It really does feel different. Like you feel like you have to watch him pitch, because that leads into my next question.
Yeah.
Is this GOAT trail status, right? Because we're
Yeah.
talking about really early in a career, obviously. 50 games is just not that many in terms of a Hall of Fame career, but you're looking at the stats he puts up so far, and it stacks up against anybody in the history of baseball. Now the question becomes, how long can he do this for, right? If you stretch this out for an 18-year career, yeah, this guy might be the best of all time. The problem is he's got to get there, and that health, the ability to stay on the field, stay in the rotation year in, year out, start in, start out, is very difficult to do. I can tell you from personal experience, my arm shredded apart. It's not an easy thing to do. But this guy, he is on a different level in terms of his ability, but also in his prepare ability. He does such a great job of getting himself ready, getting his body ready, keeping his body good in between starts. He works harder than almost anybody in his preparation between games. And I think all that speaks to his ability to do that. It's a question of stretching it out. But Jordy, is it too early for us to get into the GOAT potential talks, or are we there already?
Man, that's such a tough question. It really is because we see the potential. We see what could be. We see him breaking records that nobody's broken, and he's in an elite company that nobody's been in a long time. Um,
Right.
but I think the way the game is, the way we see injuries now these days, that's always to me, that's always in the back of your mind. Is that the number one question that when most baseball people talk about is, well, is this guy going to stay healthy? That's the biggest thing because now we just see so many injuries nowadays because guys throw harder. There's more taxing on their arms, but then you rebuttal of he takes care of himself. He does his workout. His routine is more better than anybody I've ever seen on the being a starter.
Yeah.
So he's built like a Mack truck. I mean, all that stuff combined. Can he hold up? It's all there. Yeah, he looks like he can, right? And so if he does, I don't think there's any question that he's going to go down as one of the greatest pitchers of all time if he stays healthy. I think that's pretty much a given, in my opinion. It's a matter of fact that can he continue at this rate, what he's doing for an extended period of time? I want him to be. I think baseball wants him to. I think everybody wants him to. It's kind of a wait and see. It's wait and see hope. But my goodness, man, it's to be able to have this in not only in the Pirates organization, but technically in our backyard to be able to watch him do what he does on a every 4-day, 5-day basis. It's just so cool to see. And to be able to have that, like I said, at PNC Park in the greatest place to play, it's truly something special. And so why I'm going to rebuttal that question to you, Stephen. Why do we have to label him as to be one of the greatest of all time? Why can't we just sit back and watch and enjoy, right?
Because I am incapable of doing that. My mind works a million miles an hour, even when it's not supposed to. I've been around Michael McHenry too much. All right, give me a break. Okay, I got one more question for you before we let you go, let the fans go. Okay, this is something I threw at Alex Presley when he was on the pregame show, and now I'm going to
Okay.
do it to you. Let everybody know that Jordy has not been aware that I was going to ask this question at all, and this is his real
No idea.
answer. You ready for this? If
I
you
am.
were going to go taking it bad against Paul Skenes, what would your approach be at the plate?
Okay, so to me, I think I am going to swing early in the count and really early in the count. So I think I'm going to swing first, second, and some maybe even third pitch, but I'm going to try to get my swing off in the first or second pitch. And here's the reason why. Because I think he's going to get ahead of me with this fastball on the outside corner of the plate. So when you face Verlanders and the Scherzers and the guys like that are been around for a long time that are Hall of Famers, right? I think that you have to completely sell out to what you're going to do in that at bat. And so I am going up there against Paul Skenes and I am selling out on him throwing a heater first pitch out over on the outside corner of the plate. And I am going to try to shoot that thing to right field.
And the best part about it is when you foul that one straight back and you just the thought becomes, well, I'm out. So nice.
Yep. And then, yeah, it's gone after that. So you don't have a backup
Oh,
plan either. That's the thing. That's the thing for people
no.
don't realize is you don't have a backup plan when you face guys like that. You don't. You have one plan, one pen only. And if it doesn't work, you're going to go right back to the dugout.